Unlock your dream property with Meeks Realty Group, where Rich the Realtor makes real estate dreams a reality. Whether it's residential or commercial, we've got Charleston to Huntington covered. Your key to exceptional real estate experiences start here. Meeks Realty Group. Contact us at meeks.us.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Hey, folks, good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to the show. Antoine Woods is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly, hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor, text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live comes to you from the Parmar Store studio. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. Parmar, again, helping to sponsor the Adelphia Summer Concert Series in Marietta, Ohio, only a 90-minute drive from downtown Charleston. This Friday night, get ready for the Pop 2000 Tour, featuring Chris Kirkpatrick of NSYNC, O-Town, BB Mac, Ryan Cabrera, and LFO. Then Saturday night, it's Ace Frehley of KISS, Steven Adler of Guns N' Roses, and Van Halen. For tickets or more information, visit theadelphia.com. And remember, there's not a Parmar store near you now. There will be soon. And we're brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group, including Thornhill Mitsubishi on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 in Chapmanville. Make this summer the summer for you and your family to have a lot of fun in the new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander or Outlander plug-in hybrid. See Thornhill for all the details. Phone calls to the show with service of Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly on Spring Street. Texting services provided by West Virginia's finest men's store, Tony the Taylor, Virginia Street, downtown Charleston. Visit bestmastertaylor.com. Got a lot of stuff I want to get to this morning. Go to further the pot talk in Charleston with City Councilman out of Ward 20, Chad Robinson. I got into this a little bit yesterday, and Hoppy somewhat stole some of my thunder. I'm kidding, by having Councilman Robinson on the show yesterday. But I'm going to get into it further with Councilman Robinson, who, by the way, I had him scheduled a couple days ago. It's kind of an interesting story because the story here is that there's a move by some, including at least one person affiliated with the group West Virginia Can't Wait, to basically lessen penalties for those who possess cannabis who are busted for cannabis within city limits. Councilman Robinson and others on council want that to be taken care of by council, whereas others maybe want to get it on the ballot. Can be kind of complicated. We're going to get into all that with Councilman Robinson coming up a little bit later on. Plus, do you still write checks? A lot of people do, but there's at least one major retailer here in the area. It's a national chain, but they're here in the area that says no more checks. I'm just kind of curious as to how you feel about that. I'll get into that coming up a little bit later on. Plus, your calls and texts are always welcome, too. Want to welcome to the show Senate Finance Chair Eric Tarr. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. Doing great. How are you this morning?
I got to ask you. Do you still write checks?
I do. Actually, I wrote one this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
For being on the show. No, I'm kidding. You didn't. Well, and I think it's, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later on. You and I are roughly the same age. I think I'm like a year or two older than you are. No, I don't look it, but I am. State government ages you.
It does. You know, I'm about 10 years older than I ought to be. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But Target has announced that they're no longer going to accept checks. It's one of the chains, and there's others that do that. I just was kind of, when I read that story, kind of curious how people feel about that. But I didn't have you here to talk about that. But I do want to talk about money. One of your favorite subjects is budgets, and you may be the only guy I know who actually enjoys this kind of thing, mainly because you build a successful business empire pretty much from the ground up, and you don't accomplish that without a lot of good ideas and good people around you, but being pretty good with money and budgets. Now, the governor wants more tax cuts. You say what?
Well, I want more tax cuts too. End
of show. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. We had, we've passed a lot of legislation to reduce taxes as Republican leadership. One of the things that there's a few things Governor Justice I agree on. One is that we have reduced taxes by about $1 billion since we've been in leadership up here. Actually, a little more than $1 billion total. And so we've done that in a way that's very pragmatic. And I think that the people that know me well that's something I think would be an easy description to me, is very pragmatic, especially when it comes to the numbers. You want to be able to grow your economy, and you need the resources to grow an economy. Just like if you're starting a business, you need resources to start your business, you need leverage. And so we produce that leverage by going in and holding flat budgets. And so we're very, very controlled on our spending. That produced revenue. That revenue allowed us to go in and invest in economic development in the state. The economic development has allowed us to go in and reduce taxes that paces with that economic development. And so the bill that we passed has a formula in that bill that says that when West Virginia's economy outgrows the pace of inflation, that the revenue that comes in for that produces a tax cut for the people of West Virginia. And that's how we got into the first part of the tax cut. We went in and took those initial revenues for having had that happen, which was about 21.25%. It was almost $1 billion in itself. It was near $900 million by the time it was all said and done between that income tax cut and the tax credits that were accompanying that for vehicles and inventory and things like that. So on top of that, it has these triggers that for pacing. So we're looking at probably having close to a $90 million more of a tax cut with the triggers that are in that bill on top of that 21.25%. That's going to probably be around 4% is what we're expecting. Mm-hmm. And then in addition to that, we accelerated that income tax for senior citizens. So we went in and said, okay, for the next 3 years, we're going to phase out the income tax on all Social Security. Well, we'd already done that for everybody who made under $100,000 as a family or $50,000 as an individual. This is the last $38 million that was available to that. So this year's another $10 million of that. It phases out over 3 years. So right now, we're forecasting having a $100 million tax cut. The governor's asked for another $100 million on top of that. Right. The problem becomes is that another $100 million on top of that accelerates the tax cut beyond our economic growth by a total of $138 million when you combine that with Social Security income tax cut. Do I want to do that? Shoot, yeah. Who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
I want to knock out. Hell, I ran a bill. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I say worse.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And here, the Senate passed a bill a few years ago that we knocked the income tax down by 50%. We passed that out of the Senate. And I championed that bill. That one didn't pass the House. We came back and, went round two trying to figure out how we get that tax down. So we have a path to phase out income tax to zero in West Virginia. It's in the books. It's law.
Again, we're talking with Senate Finance Chair Eric Tarr, Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Bridge Valley. If you're interested in improving your company's IT workforce,
It's in the books. It's law.
Again, we're talking with Senate Finance Chair Eric Tarr, Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Bridge Valley. If you're interested in improving your company's IT workforce, did you know that Bridge Valley offers custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap? Bridge Valley, you can train for little or no cost with a 50-50 salary match. They can also supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today. All right, so I think it was last week, you were doing an interview with our friends at WMOV Radio, and you called the governor's call for more tax cuts, quote, campaign fodder.
Yes.
You care to clarify that?
I do. The governor, in his primary and in the general, it's his MO. He loves to say things that just sound great. They sound good, and it's just, by golly, who wouldn't want to do the things he says? The problem is that can we do it practically in West Virginia for a lot of things that he asked for? So on top of having the tax cuts, there's the things that we have to do spending in government. And just on the books right now, I can count pretty quickly, and I don't want to get down to the weeds for your listeners, but about $325 million that is already in law in growth for fiscal year 25 coming in. So we're really sitting on about a $526 million surplus after the revenue estimate increase that he did in this last special session, not $800 million. It's $526 million. So by the time you would go in and take that $325 million of growth, and that's just stuff I can think off the top of my head. There's always something that surprises me when I come up. It's like, okay, I didn't realize this was set in code 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When those things all come in, you have to have just like a savings account for your house, you have to have a cushion in your operating capital for things that you're going to want to go in and spend one-time dollars on it. And these are one-time dollars. So we've done it with roads, we've done it with bridges, we've done it with all those type things. We have $7 billion worth of federal money to draw down for roads, bridges, water, sewer, and broadband. It's actually about $8 billion now because of another $1 billion on broadband. It takes about $800 million of your money and my money to draw down that $8 billion. if we go in and we cut taxes so much that there's not a revenue cushion to be able to capture that, all the things you've been seeing with these sewer and water projects going down, these businesses rolling into West Virginia, the roads being developed, if we spend ahead of that and spending ahead of that with a tax cut or with growing our budget too fast, right, it stops. It stops. It comes to a screeching halt. Think about it if it's at your house and you start spending way more than you make at your job. And you had been being able to go out and buy steaks, buy your nice groceries, take your wife out for a nice dinner, and you've been doing all that. And now you started putting on the book stuff that you're committed for. You went and bought 10 cars and you can't afford them now. Well, you're not doing that stuff anymore.
Right.
We've been managing West Virginia to be able to live like that. And it's forecasted very well. And we started this forecasting back in 2020 to be able to continue to do that. We're on that path now. I think the governor is throwing stuff out there that sounds great, but he knows we can't do.
Worth noting, Senator, you're not the only one that's saying let's have a little bit of pause here, pump the brakes a little bit. Senate President Blair was on with Hoppy yesterday, and he says he's not opposed. I mean, I think the exact quote was he's not necessarily opposed to it, but let's just hold up a little bit. I don't want to put words in his mouth. That's pretty much what he said. Even Attorney General and current gubernatorial candidate Patrick Morrisey is also advising caution here. Yeah, we have to have that caution. You have to have money to go in and do those things I've talked about to grow West Virginia. We have got to get population here, and we have that coming. We got, one of the things that Patrick Morrisey says frequently, and he's right. We've got 68,000 open jobs on the book. We need 68,000 people to fill those jobs. So we have a neighborhood of about 800,000 taxpayers in West Virginia, give or take, and we have 1.8 million population. So you got those 800,000 taxpayers who are carrying West Virginia. We have got to get people here. And so when we're looking at that, if the faster we can cut taxes is dependent upon the economic growth. There's just no other way to get there. So would I want to go in and knock down taxes? I would love to knock out the income tax entirely. Mm-hmm. To do it, you either cut more spending or you swap taxes out somewhere else. So the legislature would have to go in and politically say, okay, well, where do we want to raise a tax if we want to accelerate it? Or where are we going to go in and do more spending reductions? So just to get to a neutral, we're going to have to go in and do spending reductions of about $320 million. That's no small lift. Just to go in and say, okay, well, now we're at break even to where we could go in and say, instead of that $320 million of growth, can we put that over into taxes? Would I love to do that? I will help any governor try to do that. We want to go in and talk about controlling spending. I am all about it. And I have been doing that since I've been up here in 2019, along with a large team in the Senate and the House. So we're good at controlling spending. We've done it so aggressively, though, that it's getting to the spot now to where we've got the low-hanging fruit. And so when you go in and you go after the rest of it, you're really starting to pick at stuff that bleeds. I guess this is going to be addressed during the special session a little bit later on in the summer. Any predictions out of you? I mean, what's everybody else saying about this?
We haven't got to discuss it as a caucus,
right.
So we're all in one room yet. And I've had a few conversations with other senators, and they have the same thing. The very first thing is they just look up and say, oh, my gosh, not again, when they hear what the governor did. And part of the problem with what the governor did is he doesn't have these conversations with us ahead of time. He doesn't come into us in a room and say, okay, you know what, I'd like to do another $100 million of tax reduction on top of the $100 million of tax reduction that's already on the books coming for 2025. It's okay, well, let's hear your ideas. That doesn't happen. What happens is it goes up and announces, okay, I'm going to do this in the special session, and we're blindsided because there's planning that goes along that has been going for years to be able to accomplish what we do. And to give us a month's notice on a $100 million tax cut that's significant. It's reckless.
I want to ask you a personal question. You can choose not to answer it if you want. Are you supporting the governor in his bid for Senate?
For Senate, I'm going to have a hard time voting for Jim Justice for Senate. I'll tell you that. But I'm not going to vote for the Democrat candidate either. My position is on the U.S. Senate. On the U.S. Senate, it has to go to the right. We need a Republican majority. My fear with Jim Justice is that if he's not in a position of influence, he'll switch parties. So say the Republicans don't win the U.S. Senate, and now you have a Republican minority sitting up there. If that's the case, does Jim Justice stay a Republican? He's proven he'll hop to the side that ever gives him the power. And I'm not that guy. I'll hold to the values that I hold dear, and I vote for people that I think who would have that same behavior. And I don't trust that out of Jim Justice.
There are reports that he may be addressing the Republican National Convention, he and Baby Dog, at the Republican National Convention next week.
That's first I've heard of that. But it doesn't surprise me. His Baby Dog should be the one up there doing it. That's Baby Dog's done the talking here. So.
Right. We'll leave it there. I will give you time to. Is there anything else on your radar you want to talk about?
No. I think you hit most of it. Appreciate you having me on the show.
All right. Well, can I ask you one more question?
Because I just got
to. Well, that's one thing I like about Eric. is that you're not afraid to answer questions. Somebody texts here and asks about your interest in the Senate presidency.
There's a lot of interest in Senate presidency right now. There's the whole deck's getting shuffled in the Senate. And so there's a lot of members that are looking at Senate presidency. What I'm looking at is that, for me personally, whether it's me or whether it would be anybody else, we have got to continue on the path that we've been doing with regards to the economy of West Virginia, because we've got hope in the streets of West Virginia again like I've never seen, and it continues to grow. That has to keep going policy-wise. I'm also a very conservative individual, a very socially conservative individual. If you go back and look at the bills that have failed of mine, that have failed year after year after year, that are social conservative policy, almost all my economic development bills have passed since I've been up there. I think I got one or two that haven't, and there's been a bunch. But my social bills they're all I got there. So I'm very much social conservative. I'm excited about the opportunity of being able to see both of those go without competing for one another in the new Senate. My fear is that the competition switches back and forth and one gains more leverage over the other when I think both have the equal merit. And so those are discussions I think our caucus is going to have to go forward, because you're not going to have the same judiciary chair. You're not going to have the same health chair. There's potential. If my seat changes, you don't have the same finance chair. So you got major seats that change, which means all those committees change. So, it's a new deck of cards. It's getting shuffled. So I think that there's still a lot of discussion to be had on that. And I think Senate President Craig Blair sits there right now. He's doing a really good job. He's continuing on the work that we're doing right now. I think he'll be there for a good while. And somebody picking a Senate president is premature right now. I think it's a discussion that needs to go on.
All right. Senator, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Senator Eric Tarr. It's 9:24, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Jute. For the best in security systems for both your home or business, talk to Jute of Taze Valley. Visit protectedbyjute.com. We're back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses have been creating jobs in West Virginia since 1997.
Make this summer the summer in a new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander or Outlander plug-in hybrid. With its premium interior, 2 years limited maintenance included, and an industry-leading warranty. Drive home today starting at $28,395. The moment is now at Thornhill Mitsubishi. Super all-wheel controls and available feature on all trim levels. Manufacturer suggested retail price. Excludes destination handling, tax, title, license, dealer charges, and options. All supplies last. Limited availability at participating dealers may require placing an order and cause a delay in delivery. Retailer price, terms, and vehicle availability may vary. See your local Mitsubishi retailer for details.
No walls, no limits, just fun. Camden Park is this week's 50-50 Friday. Go ride, play, and have fun at Camden Park with major attractions like the Rattler, Big Dipper, Slingshot, and Haunted House. And you can keep cool with water rides like the Log Flume or Swan Lake paddle boats, located at 5000 Waverly Road in Huntington. Friday at 9 a.m. Go to WCHSnetwork.com and click the 50-50 Friday button to get 50% off gift certificates for Camden Park, courtesy of the WCHS family of networks.
It is 9:25. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. Birds continue their homestand against Gastonia today. It's Splash Day, 12:05 first pitch. For ticket schedules, merchandise, and more, visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com. And with the temperature the way it is today, I'm sitting here thinking, man, 12:05 or 12:30 first pitch, there's water and stuff like that. Do I really want to continue working today, or do I just want to go hang out in a splash pad at the ballpark today? Let me knock out some text here. I got a bunch of them here. Text says, Dave, we have not been able to manage all of our children's health, education, or housing needs in the state. There's no surplus. There's only poor budgeting, and it's at the feet of the legislature. Can't blame the governor anymore, says a texter. Texas says need $800 million for federal matching funds. Absolutely do that every day to 10 times your money. But where is the needed increased funding for clear needs in DHHR, teachers' pay, state worker pay, and other support for basic needs? Texas says, should West Virginia citizens be worried by the fake surplus and book cooking by the Justice Administration? Our surplus is like an Amazon sale where they raise the price the week before to discount later. Texas says, Dave, we don't have a bridge maintenance program. We don't have a speed enforcement. Don't decrease taxes till these problems are solved. Texas says, all my social bills fail because I'm too conservative, but my economic one passes. If the Lord isn't giving Tarr a sign, I don't know what else it could be, says a texter. Texas says, we don't have a surplus. We just rob the people of services through austerity to the detriment of children, education, and health. Then dropped revenue projections to easily manageable goals and called the booty from rob services a surplus, says a texter. Coming up on tomorrow's show, one of the most sought-after performers in the world of music, and he's a local guy. Last time I checked on him, Stephen Thomas was shooting a video in New York, so he's scheduled to be on the show tomorrow. Also, Crescent Gallagher from Americans for Prosperity will be stopping by the show tomorrow as well. Charleston City Councilman on Award 20, Chad Robinson, is here. Councilman, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I see you survived regatta.
We did. What an event.
I mean, what an event for Charleston, in all seriousness. I mean, we had a lot of fun and everything, but, I mean, we're going to be looking at the economic numbers for some time, but as a Charlestonian as you are, pretty big event.
I remember going when I was in junior high and going down to the crowds, and this weekend, and the mayor's team and Jane Bostic and all involved. I hate to say names because I miss people that are
Sure.
involved, but man, what an event. That's just people going for 4 or 5 days, and the vendors, all the compliments the vendors have given us, the sales they've received, the downtown businesses. It's a boom for the city.
All right, so you talked about this with Hoppy yesterday, and I covered it yesterday a little as well, but I want to get a little bit of deep dive here. Deep dive. This thing about cannabis in Charleston, there is a move on to take a second or third look at things here. Aaron Parker had an in-depth story about it on the website, posted Monday night. The problem is there's a couple different approaches here. Let's talk about the side coming from you and the City Council Committee on Ordinance and Rules. Now, this all has to do with, I don't want to say decriminalizing. That's not the correct term, but it's lessening penalties for first-time people that are arrested or detained for cannabis usage.
Simple possession.
Simple possession. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, we a couple weeks ago during council, there were 2 bills introduced, 8039 and 8043. The 8039 was introduced by myself and Councilman Frank up to state code. Marijuana laws in Charleston have not been updated since 2011. So that's what,
and they have changed on the state level.
Absolutely, and the federal. We can't do anything that the federal level doesn't allow us to do, and the state will just follow suit. So that's where we can't do anything. We can't decriminalize it. Right. We can't make it legal. But what we're trying to do is modernize our marijuana laws in Charleston.
Why weren't they modernized to begin with? I'm going to ask that dumb question.
I'm not sure why. I've been on council for 6 years. I'm not sure.
Okay.
They just haven't been touched.
So you discussed 2 bills Monday night, and these were in committee meetings.
Correct. I'm the chair of Ordinance and Rules, and that they're on my committee.
Talk about that. So talk about what was discussed.
So we discussed the two approaches. The other one is a citizen petition, and this comes from a group from the Charleston Can't Wait group. This requires basically to put the question on the ballot to Kanawha County regarding marijuana, and in my terms, non-legal is decriminalizing marijuana. It would allow no jail time for all offenses. It would. There's some issues with the petition language, but what we're trying to do is work within our ordinances to try to come up with some language that we can update them until we're told what we can do in the city of Charleston.
So what I'm reading from this, Councilman, is that on one side you have this group, and there are people that are associated with the group Charleston Can't Wait. They claim to have had, and I've no reason to doubt them, around 2,000 or so signatures get it put on the ballot. Whereas you are saying that this is something, and again, stop me if I'm wrong, you're saying this is something that's best left up to city council.
Well, with the citizen petition, and let me go backwards. yesterday we confirmed that there were over 1,800 valid signatures.
Okay.
So now we have 30 days to take action on this citizens petition. We can pass it, we can reject it and send it to the county to put on the ballot, which would cost the city of Charleston up to $100,000 for a ballot initiative. My personal opinion, and it's only my personal opinion, is let us work with an ordinance, our bill with Councilman Annie, and come up with some solution that we can do in the meantime to save the city some money, not go to the ballot, and also to update our laws on marijuana. Simple possession charges.
I don't think people realize when you talk about putting something on a ballot how expensive that is. You threw out that number, and people say, I mean, why does it cost $100,000?
Well, we're told between $75,000 and $100,000 for this request if we had to put it on the ballot. Now, the third option is if we get to a solution with our bill, and also, too, we're working on a committee substitute, and it'll be back before my committee on Monday evening. The petitioner can withdraw the request, and we can move forward with our committee substitute with some language I think is very, very reasonable.
What is your sense from other council people in Charleston? Is there a lot? I know there's a lot of council people to talk to, and obviously I'm sure you haven't had conversations with all of them, but what is the general consensus of council, or is it just all over the board?
It's all over the board. I think it's, in my personal opinion, I think we need to update our laws. Marijuana has been for years has been discussed, and we need to just look at it and determine what's best for the city of Charleston. The committee substitute that we're looking at, the first offense, simple possession, would be no jail time and court costs. Now it's up to 30 days and $500 fine. So, we're reducing the fees and all that. So I think it's a common sense approach. It's financially responsible for the city of Charleston.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here, okay? Because that's kind of what I do sometimes. Why? I know we said that the laws need to be updated, and I get that. But there are those, and remember where you're living. Even though Charleston is the largest city in the state, you're still right in the buckle of the Bible Belt here. There are those that are going to say, they're going to look at this and say, you are giving a green light for people to use drugs. Sure.
Marijuana. That's right. We're not talking about anything else but marijuana. I can tell you that simple possession charges in Charleston are from 2019. They varied from over 300 simple possession charges to last year, 2023, was 218 simple possession charges. That could be a small amount. This is not for sale, personal use without.
This is somebody that gets busted for something, and they have a small. That they have. They're not selling it, and they're not dealers. That they just have. They have some on them.
That's correct, and that's all we're looking at. The charge, the second charge, and further still stays the same. That there were discussions to take all that out of the language, but my committee decided that simple possession, first charge only. We would reduce that to court costs and no jail time. And
I got into some of the numbers yesterday, and unfortunately I don't have those numbers in front of me. I know it's part of Aaron's story that's on the website. You probably have the numbers in front of you. But I think I saw that it was like the 7th leading cause of arrest in the city of Charleston.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay,
but I trust you.
I thought that's what I read in Aaron's story. I thought that's what I read about that. So I guess people could also say, if it's only the 7th, let's say it's in the top 10 for reasons people are arrested, then isn't this like much ado? It doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal.
Well, it seems like it's a big topic, and since I was on Hoppy yesterday and today with your show, and I think it's common sense. It's an approach. One, save the city some money, save the municipal court some time and efforts and costs, and the jail bills. The jail bills are enormous. And let's do something that saves the city of Charleston residents some money, time for something small as a simple possession, the first charge.
And there are those that will say that, and this is one of the arguments made by the other side, that our police have other things they need to be dealing with other than somebody with a bag of weed.
And I agree with that. Our police are stretched very, very thin. And in 2 councils meeting, I went maybe a little too far. And I think, just because of the issues with the regatta and our unhoused downtown, I just think our police are stretched way too thin. This hopefully would help them in the future if we can get to a common sense approach.
Well, last time I had you on the show, I had you talking about traffic over in Kanawha City. So everything's cleared up and it's 100% clear over there now, right? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I drove down through it today and it felt like I was going through a war zone.
Now, I say that tongue in cheek because we still got a ways to go, and that's what you talked about last time you were here.
It is, and we still have a ways to go. Fingers crossed, November we have some blacktop and some minor issues left for the spring, but I'm still told November.
All right, and then that's not 100% completion, right? I mean, that's just this one phase.
They're working on the medians now, so looks like we will have some blacktop on McCorkle for the first 8 blocks by the time the blacktop plants close in November. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's get back before I let you go. I want to get back to the possession thing. So there's city council meeting on Monday night. Is there an opportunity? I know that group's got the signatures out there, and you said they said around 1,800 to 2,000 people, and you verified that that number's correct. Are there other ways that the public can weigh in on this?
My email's on the website. My personal cell phone's on the city website. They can always reach out to me and discuss it. My council meeting, I haven't set a time. It's going to be before finance, so probably 5:00.
Okay.
They're more than welcome to come listen to the committee meeting and listen to the discussion. And there's always time to sign up for public comments prior to our city council meeting, and that starts at 7.
All right, that's next week, next Monday.
That's Monday.
All right. City Councilman out of Ward 20, Chad Robinson, always a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Thanks, Dave.
I don't know where you're going to go next. You're on Hoppy yesterday. You got me today. What's next, man? CNN, Fox News? What are you doing next?
I stay local.
Okay. Sounds good, man. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Hang out with me 1 second here with Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Pinnacle Consultants. Their services involve developing comprehensive management plans to outline strategies for controlling and minimizing asbestos exposure. Perfect for commercial property owners and managers. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. Rest of the show is yours. Open lines, got plenty of text to get to as well. We're back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses are small businesses with big impact, including Generations Physical Therapy and Snap Fitness.
Looking to buy or sell U.S. coins or currency, or need an appraisal on a coin collection? The Coin Man in St. Albans has been established since 2009, and he's the area's expert in currency. Whether you're buying or selling coins and coin accessories, he's got you covered. But that's not all. He also deals in select antiques and glassware. Visit the Coin Man today at 2412 Kanawha Terrace in St. Albans and discover treasures that transcend time. The Coin Man, where every coin tells a story.
My wife and I we ended up mildly sick for a few months, and the nasal congestion was probably the worst part. I had like a post-nasal drip, just super congested all the time. We were taking everything we possibly could, but nothing really worked.
Kyrie was miserable until a friend recommended Navage. Navage offers immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Don't live in misery this cold season. Use Navage so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
The biggest thing Navage has done has completely cleaned out my nasal passages. It was from the first use. I was able to just clear out anything that was stopping me from breathing correctly. Navage helps me clear the way, literally clear the way, for me to operate better in the rest of my life.
Experience the Navage difference yourself. Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage. AGE.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
19 minutes away from 10, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you by Hudson's Pizza. This month is your favorite Hudson's. Order any regularly priced large 10-inch pizza. Get a 2-liter Pepsi at no additional charge at your favorite Hudson's location. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. The impact of Special Olympics extends far beyond the athletes themselves. Volunteers and supporters touched by the unwavering determination of these extraordinary individuals find immeasurable fulfillment in their involvement. The inclusive approach embraced by Special Olympics fosters an environment where everyone plays a vital role. West Virginia Enriched, in collaboration with Huntington, invites you to witness the transformative power of Special Olympics. You can see a video highlighting the Special Olympics on Facebook.com/580WCHS. Let me see. I got a lot of text to get to. The pot brings them out, folks. The text says marijuana, it turns out, is an addictive, risky substance. Legalizing its commercial sale causes more people to use it and increases level of addiction. As a result, levels of harm increase. There are health harms. Legalization is consistently associated with increases in hospitalizations from marijuana-related conditions, which can include respiratory depression, cardiovascular problems, cannabis-induced psychosis, and the repeat vomiting known as cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Heavy marijuana use, particularly in adolescents, is associated with several mental health issues, most pervasively schizophrenia. Why do I think that somebody may have done a little copy and paste job on that? It's okay. It's okay if you did. I'm just saying. Text says, taking away simple possession charges is how once great cities like Seattle and Portland first began, and then they legalized all drugs. Now, if you've been to Seattle, you've seen that people are basically zombies in the street. Do not Seattle Charleston, says the texter. I'm thinking, no matter what side of the argument it is that you're on this, somebody needs to make some T-shirts out there. Where are you? Where are you, Steve Animal and East Coast Tees, that say, do not Seattle Charleston? That person probably should get some of the credit for that. Text says, marijuana use is for dummies, says the texter. Text says, the simple fact is a plant that won't kill you from consuming it should not be criminalized. But I guess that's what you get with generations of politicians who, like Eric Tarr, think they know what's best for the people, says a texter. Texter says there's at least some support in Seattle. And the Senate, I'm sorry. I got to get these glasses fixed in the Senate. And this has to do, somebody sent me a text from Mike Stewart, state senator, that said, I guess it was a tweet. It says, I fully support sending more money. And this has to do, somebody sent me a text from Mike Stewart, state senator, that said, I guess it was a tweet. It says, I fully support sending more money back to taxpayers and resisting the temptation to spend. The best taxpayer money is in a taxpayer's pocket. That was a tweet, it looks like, that, or an X, I'm sorry, that went out from State Senator Mike Stewart, and I appreciate a listener for sending me that. So at least there is some support for what the governor wants to do there, according to the texter there. Texter says, let me see, Seattle has been ranked as one of the best cities in the United States in 2023 and 2024. Seattle ranked 8th in their 2024 report of America's 100 best cities, citing its walkability and economy. Well, of course, it's going to be it has to be walkable because nobody can drive because they're all stoned. Text says, weed advocates would make so much more headway if they embraced it as a vice and quit trying to sell it as some medicine. The most robust studies show weed performs at about placebo level for most ailments. There are places where results are encouraging, like seizures and related ailments, but weed smoked can cause the same cancer as cigarettes, but at a slightly lower rate. Weed is expensive, and though not addictive, it's very habit-forming. I smoke some, says a texter. I don't drink or anything else. It's my beer at the end of the day. The medicine side is overblown. It should not be illegal, but they would possibly gain more traction if the advocates didn't rely on these medical claims. Says a texter. Open up Pandora's box of worms here, did I? The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. If you're injured, America's largest injury law firm is waiting for you, forthepeople.com. Hoppy Kirchhoff coming up with Talkline at 10:06. The new president of the West Virginia School Board, Nancy White, is on the show today, as is Steve Wendelin. He's a Democratic candidate for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District. Libertarian candidate for governor. She's been on this show in the past. Erica Kalenich will stop by, as well as WVU Athletic Director Ren Baker and Ryan Schmelz from Fox News Radio with the latest on the Biden situation, as now more Democrats are calling on the president to get out of the race. Let's talk live with Hoppy Kirchhoff from the Dale Miller Building in Morgantown in the Encova Insurance Studios coming up at 10:06. Let me see. Text says, yeah, that was definitely copy and paste. I'm the one that texted it about the marijuana stuff, and it's all true, says a texter. I do want to mention this. There's going to be another public meeting as it pertains to the KRT bus line. There have been lots of changes proposed, including fare changes, eliminating certain routes, et cetera, et cetera. The next public meeting scheduled for tomorrow night, that's Thursday night starting at 5, last till around 7:30 or so, at the main branch of the Kanawha County Public Library, 123 Capitol Street on the 3rd floor. It's in the meeting room there. So if you are concerned about the changes or just need some more information, you may want to plan on being there tomorrow night from 5 until around 7:30 or so at the downtown branch of the library. Also wanted to mention this before we go to break. Aaron Parker has, I think the new guy is certainly getting a lot of traction on the show today. He's got a story posted at WVMetroNews.com. The FAA had a pair of meetings at Embassy Suites yesterday to take questions from the public on proposed upgrades to the airport. Now, originally, there was talk that the runway would be extended and that could impact Coonskin Park. And that kind of got changed to more like terminal upgrades. Although the runway extension may not, probably not, most likely not, is completely off the table. It's not. If the runway at the artist formerly known as Yeager Airport were to be extended, it would have been for safety purposes. The original plan could have removed parts of the mountain at Coonskin to make room for what would have been a 1,000 or so foot extension. Now, there's a group, and you may see the signs all over Charleston. I've seen in various places all over Charleston, around the valley, called Save Coonskin Park. And they were represented at the meetings yesterday. Jeremy Severin is a spokesperson for the group, and he and the group, as you may ascertain by the name, is against the runway extension. And they've accumulated, and they've been at this for some time, I guess, since it was first proposed. They have accumulated 5,000 or so signatures against this project. And as I said at the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and say you've not heard the last of this. It's kind of transitioned into more of a terminal issue, but you're going to hear more about this. Because one of the negatives to Charleston and the surrounding areas has been the airport. And please don't take that as any sort of an affront to the folks at the airport. It's not there. I mean, we're not talking about in the last year. We're talking about in the last, 20, 30, 40 years. They do the best they can up there with what they have. And I guess we're used to flying out of the airport. We don't really think it's that big a deal, but I can tell you, having picked up people at the airport that flew into Charleston for the first time, it was a little concerning to them. We just don't really pay. It's kind of like traveling back roads in my home county of where I'm from. We didn't think anything about it. That was just driving, and it's kind of like that when you fly into the airport up here too. I think we just don't think that much about it, but other people do. And And a lot of people looked at this and said, look, we need to do a lot of changes to the airport. And one of these was going to impact greatly Coonskin Park. And I will say this, as much as I love parks and I love the outdoors, if it's going to attract more business here and give us a more modern hub of transportation here, I'm all for it. Put the runway through my house if you have to. I don't care. I'm all about the environment, but I'm more concerned about the commerce and what it could be, what it could lead here. But I will always, afford others the opportunity to weigh in on the opposite side. Anyway, you may want to go read the story. It's an in-depth story posted by Aaron Parker at WVMetroNews.com. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy tackles pressing health issues, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, RSV, and more. The podcast offers insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles in and beyond the state. It's a valuable resource for all. Discover the latest episodes on WVMetroNews.com under the podcast menu and start your journey towards better health today. We'll take a break. We're back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you a physical therapy assistant and looking for an opportunity in orthopedics, wellness, and athletic care? If so, Generations Physical Therapy is offering flexible work hours and an upbeat atmosphere. With 7 convenient locations, Generations may have a job designed for you. Visit generationspt.com.
Hey, it's Dave Allen for Parmar Stores. And now that the warm weather months are here, you know where you need to be, your local Parmar store. Heading to the lake, the ball field, or your favorite picnic site, or just working around your place, Parmar has everything you'll need, from gas to grocery, snacks, and much, much more. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Welcome to Poca Valley, where we've been in business since 1908. Today, we serve Roane, Kanawha, Putnam, and surrounding counties. We believe you deserve banking that provides friendly customer service. For all of your financial needs, stop by one of our 8 convenient locations. Call us at 844-782-2651 or visit us online at PocaValleyBank.com. Poca Valley, where relationships matter.
Member FDIC.
Are you changing jobs or gearing up for retirement? Don't navigate your financial journey alone. At 4th Avenue Financial, we specialize in guiding individuals through life's transitions. From optimizing your retirement savings to managing your investments, we're here to provide expert advice every step of the way. Schedule your free consultation with John Burdett and take control of your financial future today. 4thavenuefinancial.com.
Securities offered through Jenny B. Cole Financial Incorporated. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Jenny B. Cole Advisors Incorporated.
Your Putnam County Assessor's Office is mandated to ensure your real estate is evaluated properly and fairly. This year, their field personnel will be in the Taze Valley, Curry, and Hurricane districts to revisit homeowners. Plus, new construction in the county will be assessed. They will be in marked vehicles and will have photo ID and business cards. If you have any questions about this process, visit their website at PutnamCOAssessor.com. That's PutnamCOAssessor.com.
Welcome back. Antoine Woods is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. Presented in part by General Hardware of Winfield and Milton. General Lumber of Winfield for all projects, big and small. Shop locally. Visit generalhardwarewv.com. Text says Mountaineers are always free unless you smoke weed, are LGBT, are non-Christian, or non-white, says a texter. Text says West Virginians can't stand prosperity. They often rail against progress. That's why we are considered backward by outsiders. They have good reason to believe it, says the texter. Texter says, double check the number of signatures. I think it's 11,000, not 5,000 on the petition to save Coonskin Park. I will definitely check on that. And I would think, though, I would say, because I kind of had a little bit of pause on that when I said it, because this project has been, the Save Coonskin project has been around for a while, and I would think they probably got more than 5,000 signatures. But texter says it's 11,000. $7,000. Appreciate that, and we will check it out. Text says, Dave, the legislature has $1 billion in rainy day funds that belongs to taxpayers' funds to give back to the taxpayers. Says a texter. All right, so I read this story last week, and if it will give us a break from arguing Biden and Trump for a moment, then I'll take it. Target will not accept checks anymore. Now, this is going to start next week. And I was doing a little research on this. In 2009, 9 out of 10 people reported using checks. Now it is about half that. And if you want to break it down by age, this is current numbers now. 1 in 5 people over the age of 66, 1 in 5 over 66 write several checks a week, while about half the people under 55, half the people under 55 don't write a single check all year. So there's some kind of a disparity of a little bit of a wacky number there between those that are 55 and under and those that are like 66. Something that happens in that 10-year time frame. I got to tell the story. My wife and I a couple of weeks ago were at Kroger, and the gentleman in front of us was writing a check. And I even remarked to her, I said, I don't know that I've seen someone write a check at Kroger in quite some time. And I'm not so sure that the young girl that was working the register knew exactly what to do, to be honest with you. She seemed to be a little bit confused by the whole thing because they just don't take a whole lot of checks these days. Now, Target isn't the only one that's no longer going to accept checks. Aldi already doesn't accept checks. I think it was Whole Foods or several other places that also do not accept checks anymore, because more and more places are not only going checkless, but they're also going cashless. Now, my wife is the primary bill payer in the house, and so I presume, lights are still on, so I'm presuming bills are getting paid. But I will say this for me personally, I'm a cash person. Unless it comes to something business related and I'm using a company card, I personally pay with cash about 99% of the time. And that's unless I just don't have any cash, which I don't. I rarely ever not have cash because I like having cash. But everybody's different. But going back to the retail establishments, Kroger, Walmart, Macy's, and Kohl's all still accept checks. But I would probably say that at some point soon, those will probably go away as well. And just my opinion. I'm not friends with anybody on the board there, just kind of my opinion. And I would also say that many people that are under the age of 30 probably have never written a check. I don't have a lot of young people in my circles because I'm old. But I'm the dinosaur that still pays cash, and will do it as long as I can. But you may want to, if you are a check writer, you may want to look into that, because more and more places are going to get away from accepting checks, and eventually, my opinion is they're probably going to get away from accepting cash as well. The ballpark here has already done that. They did that, a year or so ago. Quick text, Pat Morrissey will probably sue Target over not accepting checks so he can get some points with his over 60 voter base. That's a texter. All right, we got to go. Thank you to Senator Eric Tarr for stopping by the show today, and also for City Councilman from Ward 20, Chad Robinson. Thank you so much. Antoine Woods was my producer today. Thank you, kid. Did a great job. Should have asked Antoine if he probably has no idea what a check even is, right? He's shaking his head through the glass at me. All right. All right, we got to go. Hoppy's coming up with Talk Line at 10:06.